Hello everybody, welcome to Talkative Universe. So here in this first episode we're going to talk about how can we master our B2 grammar in order to understand the perfect tenses and the conditionals. So the idea is that this presentation become a guide that you can follow and then understand how works the present perfect and past perfect, including the second conditional. First, we need to understand what are those key B2 topics. So the first one is present perfect against past perfect, because these are two essential verb tenses that can help you to understand how works the past action with different perspective. And of course, if we are talking about present and past, you can infer that those are different timing relationships. The second conditional is one of the most powerful structures that help you and allow you to understand and express those hypothetical situations and try to imagine different possibilities in the present or the future. So the goal of this small class is understand exactly when and how to use each structure in order that we can infer and understand through a clear explanation and some practical examples. So first, what we have here is the present perfect. The idea is that here you can connect the past to the present. So the structure, you're going to use have or has, depending of the personal pronoun. Remember from previous classes that if you're talking about I, you, and they, and we, you need to use have. And he, she, and it, you're going to use it with has and the past participle of the verbs. So an example of past participle of go could be exactly went. Here we have an example. I have eaten. Yo he comido. In moment or when you're going to use it, at the moment that you're going to talk about past action that have a result or relevance in the present. For example, I have eaten this care because it has a relevance in your at the moment that you're talking. Why? Because if you have eaten, then you're not anymore hungry. So a real example is she has lost her keys. Ella ha perdido sus llaves. What does that mean? That means that she doesn't have her keys right now. Why? Because she's talking about a past action, has lost, that is affecting the present. Some key signal words could be ever, in order to ask to someone if he have done or have been in some places. The example is, have you ever been to Japan? So the other person can ask, no, I have never been in Japan. The second word is never. You can use I've never tried sushi before in order to say that you never tried that. Yet is an expression of time that you can use in order to ask if something happened or not at the moment that you are asking. So, has he arrived yet? Él ya aterrizó? Already, these words help us to understand that a situation happens suddenly. They have already finished. Ellos ya acabaron. Ellos han acabado. Since is helping us to understand how much time have you spent in some places. So for example, I have lived here since 2020. Yo he vivido aquí desde 2020, desde el 2020. 4 help us to understand in this example about time. So 4, she's working here for 5 years. Ella ha trabajado aquí por 5 años. Now we have past perfect. The idea is that with the past perfect you can ordering past events. So the structure is had plus part participle. So here we have I had eaten. Yo había comido. The purpose of the past perfect is show one action that happened before another action in the past. So that help us to create a clear sequence. So here we have an example in the context. I had finished dinner before he arrived. So as you can see, this first action happened before another in the past. Yo había acabado de cenar antes de que él llegó. First, finished dinner. Second, he arrived. So this first is the first action that happened in the past, and second, he arrived, is what goes after that. So key signal words could be before, by the time, after, when, already. So another example could be I had eaten my breakfast by the time my dad arrived. Okay, so now we're going to see some key difference between those. Present perfect, the main function is to connect the past with the present. In what way? The way that they are saying something that is happening in the past but is still affecting the present. So the main focus is the result that the action has in the present of the relevance of the past action. So an example, I have seen that movie. So what does it mean is that was an experience that I have now, and I know what happens in it. So after you are saying that, you already know that you have seen the movie, so you already know how the movie is. Past perfect is when you are going to order two action in the past. So you need to understand that if you want to talk in past perfect, you need to have first one sentence that happened before another in the past. So the focus is to understand which action happened first. So the example, I had seen the movie before you told me about it. Yo había visto la película antes de que tú me dijeras sobre ella. So the meaning here in this example is that first you saw it, then you mention it that he has told you about that. Now we pass with the second conditional. So the idea is that here you can understand how the possibilities works. So the structure is if, past simple, would, and the verb in its base form. So if I won the lottery, I would travel the world. Si yo ganara la lotería, yo viajaría por el mundo. So when to use it? The idea is that you can use it when you're going to say hypothetical or imaginary situations that are unlikely or maybe impossible to happen. The best example is if I won the lottery, I would buy a house for my mom. There is something important that this situation is not real. For real situation, we're going to use another conditional, so you need to take that into account. Another example is if she studied harder, she would pass the exam. Si ella hubiera estudiado duro, ella hubiera pasado el examen. If he lived near the beach, we would swim every day. Si nosotros viviéramos cerca de la playa, we would swim every day. If I were you, si yo fuera tú, I would accept the job offer. Some common mistakes that you can avoid is in present perfect is some of the times you put the verb in past, but that's not correct. You need to put it on past participle form. In past perfect is that you are not using the past action before the other, so that's why it's not clear, because you need to add context. So I had eaten dinner, that's just a sentence that is representing the past, but you need to main focus and then write two sentences. I had eaten dinner before the movie started. Second conditional mistake is that most of the time you can say if I will have time, si yo hubiera tenido tiempo, but this is wrong. The idea is that you need to put the had all the time. If I won, you need to put here in the second conditional the past participle. And then the would, because use past simple if in the if clause, not present or future. Another mistake is that you forget the would. If she studied more, she passed the exam. That's not correct. You need to put if she studied more, she would pass the exam. Here are some clear examples to guide you. Present perfect. They have visited Paris twice. Ellos han visitado París 2 veces. This is their life experience. Up to now, they can tell you about Paris because they have visited Paris twice. Past perfect. She had left when I arrived. First, as you can see, she had left, ella se había ido, when I arrived. We are achieving the condition that is to have two sentences. So both actions are in the past, but one happened first. And the second conditional, if he studied more, he would pass the exam. So the idea that you can understand that he doesn't study much now, that is the reality, but imagine that he did it. Hypothesis or imaginary reality. So he would pass. The idea is that here you can practice and let me in the comments what are the answers of these exercises. Take a picture and then solve it in your book. Some key takeaways and final tips. In present perfect, always try to connect past to present. So the idea that you can use it when a past action has current relevance or when you are talking about life experience. So present perfect. I have been, I have eaten, I have watched. Past perfect is to show a sequence. So as you can see, you need to use two sentences in which you're going to explain what happened first and then create a timeline showing what happened after that. The second conditional is to express hypothetical situation. So use it to imaginary, unlikely, or maybe impossible situation in the present or future. If I won the lottery, I would buy a Lamborghini. And practice make perfect. The idea that you can work with real examples, correct your common mistakes, and keep practicing to master this B2 structure with confidence. Thanks.